we're going to jump into a phrase that has been, in no particular order here, a phrase that has been thrown around a lot over the last weekend that I have really wrapped my arms around, because I think it describes what we're dealing with in central Mississippi with way more than racism, way more than racist, any of that stuff. It's a phrase called black fatigue that's been bandied around a good bit. We're going to discuss black fatigue. What is black fatigue? Because, the other day I asked the question when this whole Shiloh Hendricks thing was going around. And everybody's like, oh, this is the pinnacle of racism in America. People are sending this lady money that said the N-word. And I said, well, again, whether you agree with it, disagree with it or not, black people are to blame for that. That's like, y'all are why. It's y'all's actions and y'all's behavior and y'all's racism that is why people have had enough. And it's why they're sending money to this girl as an FU directly to y'all. Not because they agree with what she said, but it's like you showed people that you've been bashing and trashing and trying to cancel and do everything else, trying to ruin their lives, trying to control. You showed them what your weakness was. You never show people what your weakness is. Never show your enemy what your weakness is. You showed your enemy what your weakness was. And it was losing the power of that N-word. And it happened like that, at the snap of a finger. And you have nobody to blame but yourselves. I think it was Dave Chappelle or Cat Williams that talked about the OJ trials. Like, black folks, we celebrated too openly about OJ. Well, fast forward, and that's what's happening with the Carmelo Anthony thing. Y'all celebrated just a little too loudly with that GoFundMe, and it upset a lot of people. Upset a lot of people that Give, Send, Go, whatever. GoFundMe is omnipresent for online fundraising, regardless of which service you use. I understand there's a difference in Give, Send, Go, and there's a difference in GoFundMe. But it's like people just used to call computers IBM. People used to call copy machines Xerox because those brands were omnipresent with that service. So people call these fundraisers GoFundMes when it may not be an actual GoFundMe. It's a Give, Send, Go. But anyway, I like the term black fatigue way better. I think that describes what's going on with America right now and the culture. I think people are really fatigued with the culture. And I don't think that makes anybody a racist. It just means that we're tired, boss. So we're going to talk about that. Speaking of Shiloh Hendricks, they are trying to arrest this woman for calling that alleged 5-year-old autistic child, allegedly, of course, calling it the N-word. Apparently, they want her to go to jail over this. We got some news clips from up there from a local news channel that I found pretty interesting last night. They're actually sending this to the prosecutor to see if there's charges to be filed. My Lord and Savior, Donald J. Trump, y'all and black people are telling us this. They've co-signed on it, so it's okay for us to talk about it. That's the rule, right? Kim Wade even sent me this, I'm pretty sure. So I have permission from the Barbecue Association to talk about this. So we're going to play this video. This fella's name is Damani, D-A-M-A-N-I Felder. He says, a lot of people have black fatigue, and not all of them are white people. Let me explain. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to let him explain right here, right now.
Black fatigue. This video might make you uncomfortable, but it needs to be made. There's a growing sentiment, most recently, of individuals who are proclaiming they do have black fatigue. And you don't have to be a non-black person to have black fatigue. What does that phrase actually mean? Essentially, black fatigue is a growing weariness of the actions of the quote unquote black community. But it goes deeper than that, because we are in 2025 now, and we are being judged based on the content of our character and not the color of our skin. But the interesting part is the lie that's been sold to the black community in particular is that the color of our skin dictates the content of our character. That's why in the black community, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, you are acting white, when they're talking to someone like myself who doesn't act the way most people would expect a conventional black person to act. In their minds, there is a correct way to act black. And the people in your ethnic group who fulfill those very negative stereotypes, those are the ones who are going to essentially drag down the collective whole. And that's why there's individuals who are black who do and can have black fatigue, because they see how damaging it is to see the worst of us attract all this negative attention that then unfortunately gets ascribed to the entire race all too often. But what's unfortunate is here in 2025, now we have to contend with the fact that there's people who are so sick and tired of seeing those negative aspects, those negative individuals in the black community attracting all this attention. That's what is spurring this black fatigue. I think it's something that needs to be talked about. And until we turn inward and address the issues in our own communities, I fear that this is only going to continue and get worse. And that's exactly what the powers that be want. They want to have us against each other instead of us against those who are really pulling the strings in the background.
All right, so what do you guys think about that? There's several other good videos on this topic, but unfortunately, they got a lot of cuss words in them, and we can't play that on the radio, and I don't have the energy or the wherewithal to constantly be hitting the mute button over here. But I'm curious. I mean, do you understand what he means by black fatigue? Sorry, the online audience said they couldn't hear it. You know, guys, that's been a recurring theme. Y'all told me you couldn't hear it one way last week. I changed it this way. So at the end of the day, this is a radio show, not an online show. I'll try to play it for y'all during the break. So the online is just an addition to what we do here. Like I say, first and foremost, we got to make sure the radio folks hear it, because this is a radio show. Anybody can have a podcast. Anybody can have a live stream. Everybody can't have the number one rated radio show in the market in the mornings. Humble brag. Stay humble, my friends. Let me just lay it out for you, for those that didn't hear. That was a well-spoken, clean-cut, normal black dude. You know, guy next door. Not about the culture. Not feeling like he has to live up to urban expectations. Doesn't look like a quote-unquote ghetto hero. Does not appear to be a rapper or a drug dealer. Most likely does not drive a Dodge Charger or Challenger or Nissan Altima. Just doesn't come across like that. Looks like his pants fit. His pants definitely fit. He probably hasn't bought a rap album since Sir Mix-a-Lot's Chief Bootnaka. You know, just a normal dude, just one of us. The guy that sits around, probably don't even like his chicken fried hard. Oh, that was a shot across the bow, wasn't it? That was a shot across the bow. I bet he likes his steak rare. Oh, low blow, Clay. Low blow, Clay. That was an ECW level low blow right there. But that's what it is, man. That was just the phrase black fatigue. I'm way more comfortable with that than I am y'all deciding that we're racist because we're tired of putting up with this crap. I shared a photo over the weekend of a lady. It's on my Facebook page and my Instagram. And it was up in Jackson, Tennessee. some black women in their shower caps and pajamas and all that, not fit to be out in public. You know, and that's something else. Well, let me finish this and I'll say that. The couple black women, 3 or 4 of them, having an absolute brawl at the entrance of a Kroger. Hold on. A Kroger's up in Jackson, Tennessee. And there's just one white guy who's just standing there with his hand on his hip, just disgusted. Just, ugh, what are you people doing? Culture rot. Like, just culture rot on his face. You could just say he was just disgusted with it. He's like, how far do I have to move to get away from this? You know, Jackson, Tennessee ain't like Jackson, Mississippi. You know, he's like, how far do I have to move to get away from the Section 8? I just have to start growing my own foods, slaughtering my own cows, just completely living off the land to get away from Section 8. That was the look on his face. Then there was a woman, an older white lady, walking out the building with this look on her face of what my quote was, if tired of the culture was a picture, this would be it. I mean, just people are tired. People are exhausted with it. I remember during the Summer of Love, the George Floyd Summer of Love and Peace and Murder. One of the things black for a living Democrats, especially black women, angry black women, kept saying was they were just tired. I'm just tired. I'm exhausted. Referring to dealing with racism in America. And now we've come full circle the other direction, and we're just tired. We's exhausted with this, with the perpetual self-inflicted victimhood, with the oppression Olympics, with all of your problems being because of somebody else and never of your own making. I asked Grok AI last night to define black fatigue for me. And it tried to give the other version of the black folks being tired of racism version. I said, no, Grok, that's the wrong one. That's not the black fatigue I was asking about. And as my Grok gets to know me, let's see here, it got the answer much more correct. Unfortunately, it's not showing where it saved it there, but I did copy and paste a portion of it because that's what I do. That's what I do. Let's see here. Yep. It says, black fatigue, which describes the frustration often voiced in conservative circles over the perceived overuse of racial narratives or woke policies, which some argue exhaust constructive dialogue and fuels division. Ding, ding, dong. Exhaust constructive dialogue and fuels division. If y'all ain't using AI, I don't know what you're doing with yourselves. At least if it's going to kill me, I'm going to know why. If it's going to replace my job, I'm going to understand why it did it. And that's what it is. Margaritas, the brawl that happened there last Friday night. The reaction from everybody, just paint me shocked. Black fatigue. What I really want to call it, because I don't want to offend all black folks here. Because that's like, y'all know I'm not talking to y'all. You know, folks that ain't out doing this stuff, folks that aren't defending the people that's doing it, we're not talking to y'all. I don't even know if I like the term black fatigue. I prefer to call it culture fatigue. People that feel like that there's this expectation of living up to some black culture phenomenon that says you have to be a thug, that you have to support Pookie, that you can never outgrow sagging your pants and wearing flat bill hats and thinking you're a drug dealer or an aspiring rapper. That you can outgrow blaming all of your problems on other people. There's a huge group of people out there that ain't about that. That ain't about that culture. And I hope y'all know we're not talking to y'all. Hell, I think, based on the fact that that video was of a black guy, I believe that y'all are tired of the culture as well. Can we just get back to American culture of meritocracy and equality and desegregation? I mean, so many of y'all have resegregated yourselves. It's crazy. Like, I didn't move away from black people. I moved away from trash. I think I still live around just as many black people as I did in Jackson. None of the problems. It tells me it's not a black problem. It's a cultural problem. There's people that don't want to be a part of the culture because the culture is trash and it's rotten and it's time for something to be done about it. That's why you created Shiloh Hendrix. The whole Shiloh Hendrix thing, the N-word mama deal, for those that don't know the name, that was the inevitable end of this conversation, of this whole thing. It was going to work its way to something that extreme. The pendulum always swings back harder. I would have had no idea that it would have swung back as quick as it did and as hard, as swiftly as it did. And the irony that it was on Give, Send, Go is even a little sweeter. Conservatives, I swear, sometimes y'all will cut your noses off to spite your faces. Give, Send, Go was put in place. Now, I don't know exactly when it was created, but it rose to infamy during the Kyle Rittenhouse deal, where he couldn't raise money for his defense on GoFundMe. So Give, Send, Go allowed him to do it there, or it was created because of that. I can't remember exactly, but Kyle Rittenhouse was a big part of it. And we loved it then. We loved, oh yeah, man, Kyle Rittenhouse getting to raise that money, because he was in the right killing those people. That was self-defense. He should be able to raise money for that. And the jury agreed. Well, we loved that. But then when Carmelo Anthony, as disgusting as it was, and as one-sided as it looks, as clear-cut that this looks like a homicide for no reason, the family still has the right, whether I like it or not, to raise money. And everybody on the right wanted Give, Send, Go to kill the fundraiser. And look, I got on here and said it was disgusting, but I thought they should be able to do it. Because one day it's going to flip and we're going to want to be able to raise money for someone that the left doesn't like. Now, I do not agree with the Shiloh Hendrix stuff. I don't think anybody should be sending her money, but I also don't think y'all should be sending money to Carmelo Anthony. But you have the right to send your money wherever you so choose. And don't get me wrong, while I would not send any money to Shiloh Hendrix, I am laughing my butt off about it because it was the inevitable pendulum swing. It was the destination when the pendulum swung back. It was going to swing back to the extreme. And I have to say, I have enjoyed the meltdown from the culture folks over it, because the power of that word is being lost. And it reminds me of the power of the word of calling somebody a racist when they lost that because they overused it and overplayed it. And now nobody cares if they get called a racist. It doesn't mean anything anymore. It's like a Nazi. Okay. I mean, when everybody's a Nazi, nobody's a Nazi. That makes sense for y'all? When everybody's a Nazi, nobody's a Nazi. When everybody's a racist, nobody's a racist. But now the left was trying to get the Shiloh Hendricks fundraiser, Give, Send, Go taken down. I mean, they are losing their minds over it. That fat white dude, Tizzy, that makes all these videos exposing white people for stuff. He's shook over it. Now, there's one, they're trying to get the credit card processing companies to not take their processing and all of that. But they're going to cut off their nose to spite their face because, see, they were just able to raise money for Carmelo on the same platform. But now, hold on. Somebody using the N-word is way worse than a white woman calling a black child the N-word is 100 times worse than a black kid killing a white kid because the black kid was where he wasn't supposed to be and was asked to move. But in their smooth brains, they truly believe that what Shiloh Hendricks did was 100 times worse than what Carmelo Anthony did. But if they're successful in getting Give, Send, Go defunded, so to say, where they can't process payments, they will in fact have eliminated the one platform that allowed them to raise money for criminals. Because GoFundMe doesn't allow it either. But those are the people we're dealing with. They play chess. We play checkers. We'll be right back. Okay, I just want to say something real quick. I appreciate the opportunity you guys give me to be able to do this every day. You know, I don't want a day go by where y'all think I take this for granted and that I take the opportunity that I have doing this for granted. We are 21 episodes away from the 1,000th episode of this show. I remember when I just started, I was like, man, if I could just get to 100. And it came real close to not making it, by the way. If I hadn't gotten some more advertisers, I don't know that we would have made it to 100. I specifically remember a conversation with the boss man in the office here. And he was like, I just don't know if this is really worth it for either one of us. And I think that week I went and got 3 more sponsors. And the rest is history, so to say. So y'all don't know how much I appreciate it, and how y'all allowing me to do this has probably saved my life. I don't want to put an overemphasis on that, but I was not happy with where I was at in life, in any aspect. And this gave me a creative outlet that, like I said, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say this saved my life. It really did. Or at least it saved me from a life that I hated. So I want to just say that. I appreciate that. Even people that disagree with me, whatever, I love you guys too. I love you guys too. I mean, you guys keep me honest. That's for sure. All right, let's go. Let's just jump straight into this video. We got 2 videos we're going to play in this segment real quick. About one's 3 minutes, one's about a minute and a half. So let's quit wasting time. This is the one, the only Jason Whitlock, formerly of Outkick.com, now with theblaze.com. He's got a great show daily on YouTube called Fearless, and I highly recommend it. Don't let it interfere with your WYAB listening schedule, but when you get some free time between our great host, highly recommend checking out Jason Whitlock. Here we go. Talk about black fatigue.
Black fatigue. If you have not heard the term, if you're not on X, formerly known as Twitter, you may be unaware that this conversation is going on. But if you're on social media, and if you understand the impact of X/Twitter, and that like the Black Lives Matter movement started on Twitter, and now there's a response movement being started on Twitter, and it's called Black Fatigue, and it is the antithesis. It is the yin to the yang of Black Lives Matter. It's white people loudly, boldly expressing their fatigue with black people. This is and was inevitable. And that's why I spent so much time during the whole Black Lives Matter psyop, about a decade, saying like, this is crazy. Black Lives Matters is going to create a boomerang effect. It's going to harden hearts. You're not going to host a decade-long discussion on social media and in mainstream media about how awful white people are and what victims we are. And oh my God, once every 3 or 4 months, there's a controversial police-involved shooting with a resisting career criminal. That was inevitably going to spark a backlash.
Or as I like to say, the pendulum has swung, and it gave people whiplash. It swung so fast.
And now the backlash is here, and it's called black fatigue. Punch that into Twitter and see what comes up. There are social media accounts dedicated to showing videos of black people behaving dysfunctionally, violently, inappropriately, not just in Spirit Airlines, Frontier Airlines, not just on Carnival cruises, but damn it, if you let them on Royal Caribbean, the same thing will happen there. You let them inside of Wendy's, the same thing will happen there. There's an endless parade of these videos, and they're all about black fatigue. Like, I'm tired of black folks. Black folks have raised their hand and volunteered to be the enemies of white people. And to be the people that we want to cast white people as the worst thing on the planet. And eventually, people's patience has worn out and was going to wear out. It was inevitable.
Worn completely out. Completely out. Let's play this other video right here. This is this is him talking about, and here's that picture I was referring to, the unfathered above the statue of the fat black woman there in Times Square. Like, sometimes I know y'all think I just make this stuff up to hear myself talk, and then there's other times where I was like, how about we let's let a black dude say it? It ain't just Clay Edwards that thinks these things. Now, I am a thought leader, and I said all this yesterday morning before I heard him say it, and I'm not just being sarcastic either when I say I'm a thought leader. I am being a bit narcissistic there because, hey, I got first shot at this every morning. Before any of these other guys' content drop, I'm on here at 7 a.m. And lots of times, I ain't saying they stole my content by any means, but I'm saying I'm not out there stealing theirs. And theirs sounds an awful lot like mine. So it just means that we're all on the same thing. Everybody sees it. Everybody sees it. Let's play this.
Look at this is on Mother's Day. Yesterday was Mother's Day. Look how we celebrated. Let's play shot number 8. This is a Mother's Day brawl.
Okay, so what I'm going to have to do here is I'm going to have to turn this down because I believe there's some cussing and stuff. So radio audience, I do apologize. I will narrate through this for y'all, and radio online audience, you have to suffer those consequences too because you won't be able to hear it either. So, but y'all will be able to see what's going on. What you got here is you got 2 black women fighting at the entrance of a restaurant or something. And these ain't just like little, what you would say, hood rat queens or whatever. Those were like, they look like Big Mama in their Sunday best fighting at a restaurant for no reason. I mean, the big flowery dresses all the way down. It just don't make no sense. All right, let's get back to Jason here.
So at this point, and maybe, hey, send them to me. My email is fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com.
That is how I'm going to reach out to him today. I should be on Jason's show.
fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com. I want you to send me the white versions of these videos. And maybe there's millions of them. And
actually, what y'all could all do is go to Fearless Blaze, send him an email, fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com, and tell him that, you know what, you should have Clay Edwards on your show. Let me let him finish. I'm sorry.
They're not showing up on my top. The algorithm feeds you what you're interested in or what you click on. There's just as many of these showing white people. I don't see it.
Because they ain't there.
Maybe my feed just isn't the right one.
They don't exist.
Send them to me. We'll play them on tomorrow's show.
Which will be today.
Again, this anger that comes from being unfathered. And
let me ask y'all this question. He talks about there's an anger that comes from unfathered people. If you're out there, and this is a serious question, and you're unfathered, like your father has never been in your life, and you've had no father figure in your life either, no good stepdad, anything like that, are you angry? Are you willing to talk about it? I would love to have a serious conversation with you. I'm not being sarcastic at all.
Everybody wants to talk about white racism. This is why black people are angry. No, you grow up without a daddy in the home. You grow up with your parents divorced. You grow up in that kind of instability, being raised by a single parent. You turn angry most of the time.
Now, he's got some more videos that just got way too much cussing, but I recommend going back and watching yesterday's Fearless with Jason Whitlock episode, the whole thing. And it's got look, I'll tell you where he's getting these videos from. He's getting them from this Twitter account called Ghost White 187. It's Ghost hyphen or whatever underscore White 187 at Ghost underscore White 187. And they post, I didn't know about this account. I learned about it yesterday, so I went and followed it. But all they do is post videos of black people behaving badly. And it's mainly black women losing their ever-loving minds at the counters of checkout places, whether it's restaurants, gas stations, whatever, and just getting angry and acting out and slinging stuff and destroying things and getting on countertops and twerking for no reason. And I'm like, well, I've been talking about this for a while, but I'm told that's just an anomaly. It's just an anomaly, Clay. White people do it too, but man, I don't see it. Are white people just smart enough not to film it? Because I don't see these videos. Once in a blue moon, somebody will tag me in a video of some white guys fighting somewhere in some parking lot, and it's 10 states away. And my generic response all the time is, I don't have to leave the Tri-County area to find any of this stuff. When y'all try to show me that, look, white people do bad stuff too, you got to spread your wings quite a bit. And yes, white people do dumb stuff. I was one of the ones that did a bunch of dumb stuff, but not at the clip it's happening in the black community. And the fact that we have to argue about that makes the point so many of us are trying to make for you. There is a culture problem in the urban black community. If you don't know the difference in urban and suburban, you got way more problems. So when I say urban, I mean like Jackson, in the hoods of Jackson. But the problem is that behavior is spilling over into other areas because hashtag the culture is like a cancer. It spreads and it kills. See Margarita's video, for example, A. See shooting inside bathroom at Crab Restaurant in Vicksburg on Cinco de Mayo as immediate example B. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. All right, I got one more Whitlock video I want to play here. This is him asking if the urban black culture is on the same path that the American Indians found themselves on. Now, this is going to be deemed controversial by some, so I want to specify this is Jason Whitlock. Don't shoot the messenger here, but I don't necessarily disagree.
I'm just telling you, we look like and are being branded like the Native Americans, the Indians, who had a savage culture. Oh, Whitlock, he's selling out for the white man. I'm sold out for Jesus Christ. I'm sold out for this book, this foundational piece of information the word of God. And you can cape up and I'm going to defend these Native Americans. They sat under the moon and smoked some weed and killed a buffalo. And I wish I was with them. I'd like to be in a teepee. I don't want to be in this air-conditioned apartment. I don't want to be in this air-conditioned home. I want to be in a teepee smoking weed, laying in the grass with snakes and spiders. Keep telling yourself that lie. But we have established, have been drawn into, are defending a savage culture, a prison culture. All of these videos that I'm about to show you, this is a reflection of a savage, unfathered culture. This book established marriage and the nuclear family. They didn't establish marriage and the nuclear family sitting out under a teepee, getting high. This book did that. God did that. And it birthed a great advanced society that everybody is welcome to join. That Christians, people like me, we go out and try to execute the Great Commission and invite everyone into our faith. Native Americans, Somalians, Koreans, Brazil, anybody, come on into this faith. We're not like some other faith where they don't want anybody to join other than them. They want it all decided off of DNA. We're not like that.
What do you think about that? You know, we brought it up yesterday when I was interviewing. Somebody had called in on the phone, and I was talking about a video I'd seen on TikTok or Instagram, and it showed like these guys, these rednecks dressed up in their hillbilly gym looking outfits, and they were kind of going through like ghetto area apartments and just kind of picking at black guys, you know, trying to do reaction videos. I don't know if they're staged or not or whatever, but just pretending that they're not staged. What it does is it shows a bunch of black guys sitting at the bottom of the stairs at an apartment complex, just being lazy, shooting craps, playing dominoes, just doing nothing with their life. Now, in defense, could have been on a Saturday, could have been on a Sunday, but let's just be honest. If you run through any of these apartment complexes, you know, I know, he knows, she know, everybody know that you can find that at any time of the day, any hour of the day, folks just hanging out, doing nothing, whether it's just any low-income area, period. And it just makes you wonder, is that all the aspirations you have for life? It's to just sit out here and drink and smoke and play your life away, never doing anything to be a net positive for society. You know, because your teachers, your mom, note I didn't say parents, your mom, the people in the media, because everybody's told you that, no, I mean, you're black. You can't accomplish nothing. Everything's set up for you to fail. You know, and I just disagree with that. I know too many successful black people to allow other black people to believe that they don't have a shot at success just because of the color of their skin. And damn the media, forever trying to tell you all that. But still, somehow, me telling y'all I have higher expectations for y'all and your community, like you get mad at me. And think about that. Yeah, maybe you don't like the way I say it. I don't care. You won't listen if I don't say it like this. I say this all the time. I talk like a knucklehead because I'm talking to knuckleheads. I need y'all to listen. Like, I know there's a big chunk of people out there that find this entertaining and the little voices I do and my little sayings funny, and that's great. I'm glad y'all find entertainment in it. But I do all of that not to entertain, but to get through the skulls of these knuckleheads. Like, you got to upset them. You got to get them mad. You got to talk their language to get them to listen. And I think I've done that. I truly do. I mean, look at this. I mean, Jackson homicides down 50% this year. I'll take some credit for that. They didn't want to be the effed around and found out grand champions. I'm over here saving lives, selling shirts and saving lives. Washed up has-been, legend in my own mind, saving Jackson one show at a time. This is the Clay Edwards Show. We'll be right back. Dreamer or something. James, watching on Facebook, says everyone black gets pushed into the pile, and they shouldn't. That is the one thing I don't like about using the term black for this, is I think way too many black folks get shoved into this that have nothing to do with it. But I think that's why this black fatigue comment was birthed in black conservative Twitter sphere, or whatever you want to call it. Because they want to jump out in front of this and say, look, we know y'all are tired. We're tired of it. I mean, we all know what exactly which segment of it everybody's tired of. It's that word that nobody's allowed to say that ain't black. It's that word. That's the segment that everybody's tired of. They'll tell you. I mean, what they got a name. They've got a new nickname for them. Because I can't believe I'm saying these things this morning, but even the worst of that demographic has a nickname for the worser of that demographic. Nowadays, the young version, I think they call them YNs. That's what they say. Don't get mad at me. But I mean, I said some of the most grizzled gangsters, thugs that I follow online talk about the younger generation being out of control. That's where most all this crap's coming from. Them and their mamas, of course. Because nobody's allowed to discipline their kids without a fight. They're not disciplining them. They're not allowing teachers to discipline them. They don't want police disciplining them. So you got these people who have gone through life without any disciplining. Sean Tyndall said it really, really well when Capitol Police took over Jackson. They did a town hall for Stokes. And Commissioner Sean Tyndall said, you got an entire generation of Jacksonians who ain't never been policed. And man, he hit the nail on head. There's an entire generation of Jacksonians, they ain't never been policed. Not really. Unless they effed around across that river, cross County Line Road. But in Jackson, last 20 years, there ain't been no real policing till Capitol Police showed up. I mean, you got pockets of good JPD, don't get me wrong. But they did all they could to run them off. Barney, Fox. I mean, they tried locking them up in jail for doing their jobs. In prison. Texas J says the so-called black community went down when Reagan flooded our community with drugs and guns, or guns and drugs. No, it went down when they gave y'all welfare. And they incentivized the father being out of the home. Anything that happened in all the stuff about crack and Rick Ross and all that stuff, that's just icing on the cake. And don't get me wrong, I believe that happened. I also believe you didn't have to smoke the crack. You didn't have to say yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, some self-control. I mean, I understand it's hard. I get it, but I'm just saying. I never smoked crack Because I can look at a crackhead and say, I don't want to do that. I ain't never seen a successful recreational crack smoker. No, I just smoke it on the weekends. You never seen a recreational crack smoker. It's either all or nothing. It's they're a successful human being, or they're a crackhead pushing all their belongings in a grocery cart up and down Highway 80. There's rarely any in between that I've seen, unless they just got a whole lot of money and they just ain't ran out of it yet. They get that help before the bank account hits zero. But they're all heading in the same direction. I mean, they ain't really no recreational meth smokers either. But I see more people pull themselves out of that than I see people pull themselves out of crack. A whole nother conversation for another day, though. So, Texas J, I'm not completely disagreeing with you, but I think the damage was done by Lyndon B. Johnson. I mean, there's a reason why, and in the South, we can get away with having this conversation a little more openly. Here, because we don't have a high Jewish population, but I hate saying I'm trying to be delicate about what I'm about to say. I believe, based on everything I've seen and read, now it may just be coincidence, but a lot of people in the music industry, in the movie industry, do happen to be Jewish. And a lot of those very people did, in fact, dictate what the culture became through the type of music and movies and whatnot they wanted to popularize. And when you dangle a carrot in front of somebody that's never had anything, and we're using the black community for this story here because this is who it happened to. They come in, they say, we're going to make you rich beyond your wildest dreams. We're going to make you famous. We're going to do all these things. But here's the image we want you to portray. You're going to be a gangster. You're going to be, we're going to, a black mobster for the modern era, basically. We're going to sensationalize this image and this lifestyle. And we're going to push this into mainstream America. I mean, Dr. Dre was doing show tunes before he was Dr. Dre. He went from dressing up, looking all gay, doing theater and stuff. Da 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 da. To Straight Outta Compton. We got to take a break. We'll be right back.